The Battle of Kasserine Pass, narrated by Sasha Maggio. Disclaimer. I may or may not get the pronunciation right for every person and location. Bear with me, I'm doing my best. Also, when I typed that, this slide design was suggested in PowerPoint, so guess what? I'm using it. The previous Twitter thread and narrated video were on the Battle of Sidi Bouzid, which began 14 February 1943 and was part of this series of engagements that involved Kasserine Pass. The Battle of Kasserine Pass took place 19 to 24 February 1943. In their January attacks, Axis units puzzled Allied commanders by limiting their own advances and abandoning key positions. Soon, however, the enemy displayed more determination. The Battle of Sidi Bouzid took place 14 to 17 February 1943. A couple weeks prior, the Axis forces had taken Faid Pass on 30 January 1943, a position which was mostly held by the French 19th Corps. Allied leadership responded too slowly to help. Following their recent feints further north, the German panzers took a sharp crack at the Allied south flank in an all-out attack against Faid Pass. This was in exact accordance with the G2 intelligence estimate, previously submitted by the G2 of the American Second Corps. Combat Command Alpha and Combat Command Charlie of the American 1st Armored Division, then located in the Sidi Bouzid area about 10 miles west of the Faid Pass, caught the brunt of the German breakthrough attack. Outmaneuvered, outnumbered, and outgunned by the German panzer divisions, they were badly mauled and lost 54 tanks in this engagement. A sideswipe by these onrushing German panzers also overran the 168th Infantry Regiment of the American 34th Infantry Division. It then became necessary for the American Second Corps to take immediate steps to protect the mountain passes through Spatla and Kasserine, and the passes west thereof, leading north to Tebessa. Tebessa is where Freudendahl had set up his Second Corps headquarters. After inflicting heavy losses on the Allied, mostly American forces at Sidi Bouzid, General Arnim sent several of his battle groups to take Spatla, which they did quickly, in about a day. Sights were set on Kasserine Pass. Once General Anderson realized the danger that was posed to the American base at Tebessa, which included supplies, and that panzer divisions could very well threaten the right rear flank of the entire British First Army, reinforcements were sent to aid the American Second Corps. 1st Armored Division's Combat Command Bravo raced south and by 16 to 17 February was in position north of Spatla to cover the American withdrawal therefrom. It was later ordered further northwest to help protect the Thala area and the passes leading into Tebessa from the east. The 18th Regimental Combat Team came down from the north on 17 February to occupy a defensive position just south of Spiva, 24 miles north of Spatla. On 19 February 1943, the 18th Regimental Combat Team, repulsed several enemy armored infantry attacks in this area after inflicting heavy losses on the enemy, and thus secured the left flank of the hard-pressed American Second Corps. The Battle of Kasserine Pass is often considered a terrible American defeat, but as Dr. Mark Calhoun notes in the 3rd podcast episode, it could alternatively and maybe more accurately be viewed as a costly American victory. This battle is more like one of a series of battles or parts of an operation, with some suggesting the operation actually began in mid-January when the German 5th Panzer Army took another pass in Tunisia. We will at least consider this to include Faid Pass and Sidi Bouzid. The Kasserine Pass provided the most favorable corridor of approach for the German panzer units in their advance north towards the critical area near Thala at the head of the Kasserine Valley. The Kasserine Pass had been occupied initially by the 19th Combat Engineer Regiment, a regiment of corps troops which was new to combat. These defending troops were reinforced, and the pass was hastily organized for defense on 19 February, under command of the headquarters of the 26th Infantry Regiment. In this hasty defensive organization, the 19th Engineer Regiment occupied the west side of the pass, and the 26th Infantry Regiment, less the 2nd and 3rd Battalions, occupied the east side of the pass. The 33rd Field Artillery Battalion was in general support. This picture is of engineers in Italy, which we will get to later this year. After bringing up their 88mm guns and mortars, the Germans then pierced the right flank of the west sector, held by the 19th Engineer Regiment, and drove through the 26th Infantry sector on the east flank of the pass. During the night of 20 to 21 February, the Germans overran both positions, cleared the minefields, and their tanks then started rolling up the Kasserine Valley early on 21 February. In the meantime, after having incurred heavy losses, the surviving American defenders had been forced to withdraw to the north under strong enemy pressure. The losses in this series of battles are significant, but also significant is the fact that the Allied forces managed to stop Rommel's attack and he withdrew. Kind of a live to fight another day mindset that some Axis commanders lacked. This picture is actually from Gazala, which we talked about last year. Within a few days, and following a massive American airstrike, many of these areas will be returned to Allied control, but the cost was still tremendous. At Kasserine Pass alone, some 300 Americans were killed, 3,000 were wounded, and another 3,000 or so go missing. To compensate for these losses, 7,000 troops will be needed in order to return these units to their fighting strength. Roughly 4,000 are captured by the Axis forces, along with 52 tanks and half-tracks, 161 motor vehicles, and 36 guns. Several of the pictures and images used throughout this presentation come from the book World War II, Map by Map. Many of the images in this presentation come from publications released by the U.S. Army Center of Military History or Army University Press. These 3 documents are available online as part of a collection to support Kasserine Pass staff rides. The book Tunisia and the book Northwest Africa, Seizing the Initiative in the West are also available online, as is the old CSI Battlebook for the Battle of Sidi Bouzid. All of these documents will be linked in the description box below. Thank you for joining me today. The references included in the Twitter thread presented here are linked below in the description. If you are a fan of this content, please consider subscribing to my accounts on any or all platforms, as that helps me know the content is worth the effort. Check out motheroftanks.com for details and links to all content, and don't forget the series podcast, which will feature many brilliant guests throughout the year. And stick around, this will be the best series yet.